This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of March 18, 2019. Whatever happens this week, the big themes of this week are going to be with us for the next 3 months because they are infusing the chart for the equinox, which happens on March 20th. And one of those themes is having to adjust to make room for other people, to make allowances for other people, for other points of view, for other peoples, and especially for women and what we want in our hearts. And interestingly, one tiny way in which this is already playing out is in how I approach my forecasts. For decades, I have been forecasting for people primarily in the United States, in the Northern Hemisphere, and now it is apparent that I do also have an audience that is in other parts of the world, particularly in the Southern Hemisphere. So saying that spring is about to start isn't the answer for some people. So there is a massive gear shift. For the people in the Northern Hemisphere, it is spring. For the people in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the beginning of autumn. It's all a part of opening your mindset up to inclusivity, one of the themes. One of the themes is going to be fires flaring in the midst of all the fog. When the sun moves into Aries, it is going to conjoin Chiron, which has just recently entered Aries, and instinctive, impulsive, hair trigger, unpremeditated action will be the result. This is going to be fueling our so-called logical sides, our egos, our conscious personalities, the masculine archetype, if you like. There could be a lot of overcompensation, a lot of reading slights into a situation and saying, hey, not going to put up with that any longer. And on a more positive note, a lot of more proactive, self-motivated forward movement. As the sun does this, it immediately stands off with the moon, with the feminine, with emotions. Just a few hours into the equinox, we have a full moon in Libra, which I call relationship central, at 0 degrees of that sign, the very beginning of the sign, which is notable for a number of reasons. First, the very beginning of the sign is the rawest, least filtered, least sophisticated expression. So it also carries an immediacy and an impulsiveness that is similar to what's going on with the fires in Aries. Secondly, this rawness comes at a point of emotional culmination. A full moon is always a cresting of energies and developments that have been building for some time, situations coming to a head. Libra is not the most emotional of signs. It has more of a philosophical, intellectual, oh, look at this, let's examine it, a bit of distance, a little bit of air, and a bit of a preference for the niceties in how things go. Libra doesn't normally like to be too blunt, too forward. It can be actually maddeningly indirect, but lots of things are going to be different. So the Libra expression will be different as well. The moon and our emotional expression and all kinds of relationship developments and things that have felt stalled, the relationship seesaw will be activated quite unpredictably with this full moon because the moon is in an adjustment aspect with Uranus, the change maker, which has just entered the sign of Taurus. And the moon's ruler, Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, money, all we value, is working overtime with an influence that's telling her to ask for more, ask for more, ask for more, ask for more, do not hold back. She's in cahoots with Jupiter, the guy who ups the action of every ante that he's part of, and the moon is being triggered constantly by Uranus, and Venus and Uranus are also in cahoots because each one is in the other's sign. This is more technical astrology talk than I normally engage in, but this is coloring the next 3 months, so I'm giving you the framework. The seesaw is being upset. It will be recalibrated unpredictably, suddenly, new information, people not holding back with what they really want. So much more cards on the table. You may surprise yourself in what you find flying out of your mouth. Venus also is making demands on Mars, the guy who goes out and gets what she wants. Mars is also in the sign of Taurus. All this Taurian Venus energy means we aren't talking about sitting around reading poetry and dreaming about, oh, someday this is what I would like. This is, I want it here, now, next to me, where I can see it, take it to the bank, trust that it is real. So this means very tangible, practical, concrete rearranging will be going on. Fortunately, even though we are still in the midst of Mercury retrograde in Pisces, which is kind of like double secret retrograde, there are openings for bringing communication, information, understanding into something solid, concrete, palpable, making sense of a lot that's going on. And yet, paradoxically, by the weekend, seeing the big picture, just getting it, understanding, having compassion for yourself, forgiving all of the people on your list of annoyances, and just letting everyone be human, even if just for a moment. So these are the complex energies that surround the equinox chart. They will be running like a background program for the next 3 months. We are renegotiating relationships. We are knocking over the game board. There will be massive, widespread, collective shifts, particularly with the feminine and the role of women and progressive values increasingly coming to the fore and knocking situations out of whack, so they have to be factored in, which leads to an additional aspect of the importance of the degree of this moon that I mentioned at the beginning. At 0 Libra, this moon falls on what is called the world axis. It's a cardinal point. It's the beginning of the cardinal sign of Libra, opposite 0 Aries, which is where everything starts. This is a location that activates the collective, things worldwide, consciousness as a whole. Political events will be even more hopping, and again, values, the role of women, the role of negotiating, the role of progressive women especially, and probably something with where we put our money, like putting our money behind our values. All of these will be big themes in the news, as well, of course, as in our personal lives. Homing thought of the week. I open to receive. Song of the week, Floods of Spring by Rachmaninoff. I know I said I also have to address the fall, but this fits the energies. And the image of the week is a dog shaking off after a bath. You'll find a lot more about this already in my forecast for the Libra full moon, which is posted at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you will find a toolkit of resources for navigating the weird energies of the month of March. It's in the orange banner across the top. I'll also put the link below the description of this podcast. Free articles and guides, free playlists, and a few extraordinarily inexpensively priced guided visualizations. At my site, you can also sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. And there's bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl. And as always, I am deeply grateful to my increasingly many patrons who are keeping Astro-Insight from going behind a paywall at as low as $1 a month, which works out to 33 cents a forecast a month. Talk to you next week.